Lou Ending Explained. This latest Netflix movie focused on an individual named Lou who was assisting Hannah in finding her daughter V, who'd been kidnapped by her own father. The movie took multiple twists and turns along the way and was centered around family at its core and the troubles that can occur. So with that, I thought I'd recap, break down, and explain all that there was to take away from the movie. So let's get into it. Here is Lou Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The movie opened up with a scene of the character who we knew as Lou looking as though she was getting prepared to take herself. It was ever so slightly in the future and she'd made all of the preparations for her time to be done. Following this, we then cut back in time slightly and we saw her drive over to Hannah, who was one of her tenants, and she asked her to pay rent and she had to leave it inside of the house so it wouldn't get wet. This was so that she'd stumble across her, find the note which was left, which explained everything that we heard right at the end of the movie. But we'll get to that. As the movie went on, we saw that Hannah's daughter was kidnapped on the night of the storm on the island, and this prevented Lou from carrying out what she was doing, by a matter of seconds. Instead, she ended up assisting Hannah in looking for her daughter, who was kidnapped by Hannah's partner, who she believed was dead, and this was Philip. Philip was a special agent and he was wanted for war crimes, so he was a dangerous person and they knew the risk that came with going after him. The night of the storm was an interesting time for the events to occur. It would have masked the shot of the weapon which Lou was going to use, and it was also the perfect time for Philip to take V, due to the poor signal, power outages, and the hard to reach locations due to the weather. As the movie went on, we saw that Lou wasn't actually the person that she said that she was. She used to be in the CIA and was a highly skilled individual, hence the scenes that we saw of her taking out everybody that came in her path. It turned out that after Philip had faked his own death, he even fooled Lou, and that was the reason as to why she was prepared to take herself at the time. Lou was in fact protecting Hannah and V from Philip, as he was her son and V was her granddaughter. Lou had meticulously planned and made sure that what she did felt natural, and that was of Hannah and V finding themselves on the island and renting from Lou. It was her own personal mission, and with the belief that they no longer needed protecting, she was ready to go. Lou believed that she'd done some terrible things in her life and she couldn't face living with them anymore. Hence the line, "I'm leaving the world in a worse place." Especially with the fact that the CIA wanted to take her out for blackmailing them for wrongdoings that were done when she was serving, so she'd rather do it on her own terms. As the rescue attempt was going on, we learned about Philip's motivations and intentions. He resented his mother for allowing him to be taken at the age that V was, which ultimately led him to be the troubled individual that he was. He was leaving notes all along the route that Lou was keeping to herself, and whilst we believed that they were intended for Hannah, they were in fact for Lou, as he knew that they would be coming after him. The lighthouse on the island was the final destination that Philip wanted the four of them to be. He planned on blowing it up and ending everybody in his family. The lighthouse was chosen for a specific reason. As we saw with the flashbacks, it resembled many of the memories from when he was younger. It was the same shape as the chess piece, which was a game that he frequently played with his mother, and it was also the same shape as the building from where he was taken from his mother, so it was quite symbolic. The CIA had been made aware of their presence on the island after tricking them, and they were approaching Eagle Bay where they all were. We saw Hannah rescue V and then head off in a different direction after they managed to escape from Philip. This left Lou and Philip in front of each other for one final time, where they had one final fight, where it looked as though despite harming his mother, Philip got something he never received from her. A hug, affection, and it was the final thing that he got before the CIA took them out from the sky. Lou stated earlier on in the movie how not everybody is supposed to be a mother, and she had him as a way of keeping her cover as a spy in Iran, to not raise suspicions. Philip didn't choose a life like that, and a lack of affection and the way that he was taken was something that led him to turn out the way that he did. This was also the reason as to why he took V, because like he was at that age, he was mirroring what happened to him. Once they were taken out by the CIA, we saw that Lou had left the house, her money, Jack's, and a bunch of food for him to Hannah. We heard that they also had a funeral for Lou, confirming that she was also killed along with her son. We finally got to see what Lou's note was that she wrote in the first part of the movie in the closing section. It was voicing over what we saw unfolding in the final scene, carrying out what Hannah should do and that she should leave the island. As Hannah was on a boat heading towards Seattle, we saw a shot of an individual on the upper deck looking down through some binoculars, and it seemed as though the individual was Lou, showing us that she wasn't killed in the crossfire and that she managed to evade death and fake it, just like we saw her son do, showing how highly skilled she was. The note also read, "You'll leave the world in a better place than I did," showing that all that she did, despite having a hard exterior and not coming across that human, she did care for Hannah and her granddaughter V. We also got confirmation that it was Lou on the upper deck looking over, by the way that the dog, Jax, looked up at the upper deck as if he had noticed a familiar face, showing that it is most certainly her. The element of hiding was a key part of the movie, and it was the way that the movie opened up in the present day when we were introduced to Hannah and V. Hiding for fun at the start, hiding from Philip when he was abusive, and both Philip and Lou hiding from the CIA. It was embedded all throughout the movie and was subtle yet worked well. I thought this movie was okay. It's not the best thing to land on the platform, but it provided a journey where you're rooting for both Lou and Hannah and you want them to succeed. The family connection was a good twist, and although I didn't see it coming, you could sense early on that the note was intended for Hannah to find when she went to get the rent payments. The pacing was perfect, and the runtime being 1 hour 47 minutes was the right amount of time for the movie to be. Hannah's character did frustrate me at points because whilst she was just the ordinary person who wasn't a spy, I feel she did lack some common sense. But I'll just put it down to the wanting to find her daughter that had been taken. Lou was a character that I did like quite a bit. She was likable despite having a tough exterior and not showing much emotion. She had good intentions, and despite feeling as though she'd done wrong in the past, it seemed as though she'd now found a way of wanting to live her life, which was good to see. I did think that the movie was going to be a little more clever with some of the shots that it had just based on the first 15 minutes, as some of them felt quite smart, such as the almost hitting of V with the van and it cutting to the deer, and also the way it started slightly further ahead in time but then went back slightly. But it seemed as though it only really occurred in the first part of the movie. There was one other scene that I did really like, and it was one with Lou in the cave after being injured, where we didn't know what her fate was going to be. We saw the flashlight fade away, Jax curled up to her, and it then faded to black, showing that her internal light could have gone out and she could have died. And I suppose from that moment on we did see a different version of Lou, one that cared. I would recommend giving this movie a watch as it was enjoyable and provided something that I hadn't seen in a while on the platform. So, there you have it, Lou Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos such as Endings Explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this movie? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.